Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the Property and Investor Podcast, the podcast where I speak to some of the most interesting, inspiring, and resilient people in property investing and beyond. I, of course, am your host, Paul Lanfear. Now, as you know, my inner lawyer requires me to say something before we begin. Nothing in this podcast is financial, health, or legal advice. Obviously, seek your own advice. And you will have noticed that this is a very special series of the podcast. It's a mini series when I have the very great pleasure of speaking to, which is separate from the long form podcast. So I have the pleasure of speaking to what I call the Inner Circle All-Stars. And I have an all-star for you today. It's people who I've had the very great privilege and honor to work with as part of my Inner Circle mentoring group over the years. And today's guest, it gives me genuine delight to introduce you to, is Raj Boughan. Raj, how are you doing?
I'm brilliant. Thanks, Paul, and thank you very much for having me on the show.
I'm absolutely delighted. You're kind of one of the many. You're one of the early adopters. That's what I'm going to call you on this. You're one of the early adopters because we worked together back in 2019, which seems like a lifetime ago.
It was probably about this time of year, I think. So October or November 2019.
Yeah.
And then I remember we started then, and you helped me put some great plans together for 2020. It started well in January, February, and then March, and then obviously COVID hit, and everything changed. But yeah, we worked together through COVID and obviously 2021. So yeah. Can't believe it's been 3 years.
I know, what a time to be alive. I mean, in terms of kind of dealing with one of the most challenging periods in all of living history, I'd definitely say that 2020 was definitely that. So definitely. Into the podcast then. So before we dive into it, actually, give like a brief introduction. So tell people who you are, tell them what you do.
Yeah. So obviously my name is Raj Boughan. I'm a mortgage broker, and I've been one for about 9 years now. I've actually just set up my own business this year in April. I've been self-employed for about 5 years now, but working elsewhere. So mortgage and life insurance. And I've been spending most of my time for the last year or two focused on that. But equally, I'm also a property investor, and I've been investing in property for over 10 years now. Certainly something that I want to continue doing and continue growing as I go forward. But certainly the last 12 months, so it's been something I put to the back burner. Married with two young children, 5 and 1. Sorry. Yeah. So definitely kept busy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you didn't emerge from the womb necessarily wanting to be in the finance industry or a prolific property investor. Tell the good people listening to the podcast what your first career choice was, because I absolutely love it, I have to say.
Yeah, well, the career was attempted career was snooker. Yeah. I ended up leaving school without even sitting any exams. I think it was in the February half term of the final year. Which seems daft, but I'll explain why in a second. And played snooker, I guess, full time with the financial backing support of my parents, living at home until about 2021, and then it was getting to the point where I wasn't making it and not getting anywhere. And I think, my dad gave me a tap on the shoulder kind of thing, or repeatedly saying, "Look, I think you need to do something else here. I think you need to change direction," which obviously I did. But yeah, I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot about myself, about discipline and stuff. And it's very unforgiving in sport, so it does help you moving forward. But yeah, did that for a few years, and then had to kind of think, well, what on earth do I do now? I've not got an education to fall back on. I've not got any degrees. How do I navigate life from here?
Well, look, kudos to your mum and dad for giving you that support at that early stage to give it a go. And and if you don't go, one of my mentors, my surf mentor, he says to me, if you don't go, you never know. You have to give things a go and just see what happens. We'll put links, obviously, in the show notes to everything. But I think what people will see if they follow you from Instagram is that you're a prolific runner now. Like, you're really, so that's obviously something that you've really got your teeth into as well.
Yeah, I'm not exactly an elite athlete by a long shot. I'm a very I'll call myself a bang average runner. But it's just something it's just something I enjoy doing. I've been doing it for a few years now, been part of a running club. And I guess it's just something, I enjoy the challenge of it. It's great, obviously, for physical health, but actually it's brilliant for your mental health as well. I mean, it's probably nothing more I'd like to do if I've had a tough day or whatever, and just a 30-minute, whatever, 45-minute light jog in the, if it is sunshine. It's brilliant for you, getting your mind in the right place. I've recently actually just got a coach, which is going well. I'm only in week 3 or 4 now, so we'll see how that goes next year.
Oh, very good. Okay, then. So tell us a little bit about where you were at before you joined the Inner Circle mentoring program.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, I was a mortgage broker at the time. I had gone self-employed and was doing that for I think nearly 2 years at a different firm. At the time, my goals were the mortgage stuff, and since I'd only in probably COVID it changed, but since I became a mortgage broker, that was just to pay the bills. But I wanted to build my own property portfolio, but as a lot of people do, to the point where I could jack in the day job, so to speak. And that was still end of 2019. That was still a goal, and I felt like I'd done a bit of stuff with most of the listeners are probably familiar with SA or service accommodation. I'd try to rent to SA business for I think I was still running it there for I've been doing it for about a year, but I decided I wanted to slightly change tact. I'd had an existing portfolio already of single lets to that point, and I felt like I wanted to grow that now and press on and give it some focus. But I just lacked the kind of guidance, some knowledge, obviously, to take it forward. Didn't really have much of a network to speak about. And that's, as we'll discuss, that's what the Inner Circle gave me, really.
Fantastic. And if you can think back to those days, like what do you identify as like the main challenges that you were kind of wrestling with? What was going on?
Yeah, well, when I'd been an employed mortgage broker, I just felt that I was just pulled left, right, and centre. I just didn't have any time. I wanted to focus on my property business and grow that. And a lot of people do manage it. Maybe I was mismanagement of time was the issue, perhaps. But like I said, when I went self-employed, one of the reasons I did it was to free up some time, my own time. Did the SA thing, and then decided that it wasn't for me to scale it, even though it was working. I didn't want to scale this up, and ended up stopping that just before COVID, actually, which was lucky. And yeah, in terms of challenges, I was like, well, where do I go now? I've got these singlets. I don't want to keep buying. And then that's why I thought, well, I need to be around people who've got more experience than me, to sort of push me on. I need someone like yourself, like a mentor, and I need to bridge that gap with knowledge, really. And that's, one of the things I really got from this circle is you helping all of us to gain some clarity on what you're after.
And it was a fascinating time in history, wasn't it? That initial shock of when COVID arrived in the early sort of 2020s. I mean, we hadn't really ever had that as an experience in our lifetimes.
No.
And for you, I think you made like quite a radical choice, which was to bring to a conclusion like the serviced accommodation part of the business you were doing, which I suppose in hindsight, I think you should definitely take credit for it. In hindsight, was absolutely genius timing wise, wasn't it? Because and I think you should take credit for it, even if you suggest that it is coincidental. I think you should still take credit for it, because timing wise, it actually worked out really well, didn't it? You were able to ride out COVID pretty successfully, let's be honest.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was literally the landlord and he was listening to podcasts and learning himself about SA since I obviously approached him. So I think it was end of 2018, if not beginning of 2019, that I started, and that's when I signed the contract with him. So I've been doing it for the best part of a year and a bit, and then we chatted, and I said, look, I was making like, I think, 500 quid a month off it, which sounds great. But the way I'd kind of planned it was very much hands off, but it was, looking back on it, and just advice for any other people, it's either hire someone who's a specialist management company to run it for you, like you would a letting agent for a singlet or HMO, or make sure that you have the sufficient time and understand that this is a business. Which what was happening was it was taking up time of me being a mortgage broker, and I wasn't doing as well as that. So I was chatting to him anyway. I said, look, I think I maybe want to hand it back. If you seemed like you want to give it a go yourself, and you've obviously got this property. So we arranged a meeting, and it ended up, we agreed and shook hands that we'll break the contract. I think it was a 3-year contract between us, and hand it back. And it just so happened it was a week, if not 2 weeks, before the lockdowns kicked in, which was obviously great luck for me. And although I would have got the, I think it's a £10,000 grant from the government that is under business rates, but every silver lining.
But I think one of the great things in life, and I think one of the most great underrated things in life, is knowing as much what you don't want to do as what you want to do. You often see people, and I've seen it in like previous careers with lawyers and stuff, that they reach that point where they actually don't want to do it anymore. And actually the smartest thing to do is just to hang up their boots and go and focus on something much more exciting, which is what, you've done. You've channeled your energies into the mortgage business and all the rest of it. And you're a prolific social media creator. We'll get onto that in a minute. So then, so how did the inner circle help you? Like, what did you get from it? How did it help you progress?
Yeah. I think I already mentioned one of the things is massive, is gaining clarity in where you want to be, what you want to, where you want to go, and direction, how to get there. I think myself and a lot of people, it's very vague, or we're just kind of marching towards a target, not really knowing why we're doing it, or maybe because other people around us are doing it. I think you've got to start from there, and that's what one of the first things you help with, is to do that. Other things, and with that, sorry, it, I never, like I said before, I never really planned to have a mortgage business. And I think combination of obviously working in the inner circle, also COVID, it gave me that time just to sit back and go, well, look, I've done this for the time 7 years. Why can't I turn this into another business where it can become another income stream, another asset? And I don't think I would have been able, if I was on my own, I'm not sure I would have maybe got to that distinction. The other thing that's massive I got from Inner Circle is being a real manager, managing my time well. So I work very differently now to perhaps when I did before I joined, whereas before it would be just kind of sporadically doing stuff, not really planning out my day or my week, not really being clear on what I want to achieve from a day or my week. And it was just, obviously yourself was the main driver of that, but equally working with other people, similar mindset, and seeing that when you think you're busy, sometimes you're not really busy, you're just not well organized, and you're just trying to do too much. And yeah, before I'd be kind of constantly on my phone, and previously in employed roles I'd have an office phone, so I'd be on the mobile phone, put that down, pick up the office phone, vice versa, and you felt really busy, and but in actual fact, were you being actually that productive? Probably not. Now I hardly use my phone, it's always on silent. It's on now, it's on the desk, turned upside down on silent, and I have other means and channels. If someone wants to speak to me now and they want to chat, they book a short 15-minute call. I mean, it's organized, so then we definitely, there's none of this kind of missing each other back and forth all day, or for 2-3 days missing calls. So yeah, I think managing your time is, you can have all the self-belief, you can have all the knowledge, but if you can't structure that into your day, into your week, you're just not going to get the results, or you may get it, but at an incredible effort and stress, and it's just not worth it, I don't think. I think that was one of the biggest things I've got from it, and to do that is the other thing I've written down, just a note here, is that it makes you, and it has made me, more disciplined. So my day, including, you mentioned running, there's a plan every week of when I'm going to be doing what, whereas before it was just a bit all over the place.
I remember following on from that, I remember with genuine delight. I think it was in the very final stages of the cycle that you were on, where you kind of announced to the group, or announced to me, the immortal words, "Paul, I'm focusing on less." And I honestly thought, oh, do you know what? My work here is done. Because I mean, one of the books that I recommend, its strapline is "The Disciplined Pursuit of Less." And to hear you utter those words was literally like Christmas Day for me, I think. So I remember that very well.
I remember, I think we were having a 1-to-1, and I said, I think I said, "Paul, I get it now." I think something along the lines of "less is more," or something along those lines.
That was it. Less is more. Yeah, absolutely.
You nearly sort of, it's like a fist pump moment for you.
Exactly, like genuine joy and happiness. So where do we go from here? So what does the future look like? So you're now I mean, obviously you don't need to look very much at your social media accounts to see that you are prolific. You're producing content, which seems every day, really high volume content, which is really kind of specific also to your audience as well. You have a very specific niche area, which we haven't really touched upon. We should. So talk us through that. Like, what does the future look like?
Yeah. So my main focus is still the mortgage business at the moment. I do want to I want to still grow my property business. But obviously it's a challenge managing both. So I need to one of the things I'm going to be doing end of this year is strategizing how I'm going to do that. I've deliberately not done anything with property this year, 2022. And that's helped me massively. I had a lot going on in 2021 with a new child, an extension to our home. And at the time I went into a different mortgage business, but then with someone else, an existing business, but then came out of that business and then back into my own. So that was a challenging year. In terms of going forward,
also in 2021, you also did that. We don't need to go into the details, but you did that property purchase. You made a really good investment.
Yeah.
So kudos for that.
Yeah. It was December 20, I think it was. It was a block of flats.
Yeah.
At auction, post auction. Didn't even view it in the end, which is crazy. But I couldn't view it because of lockdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, without going into too much detail, having the right people in the inner circle helped me achieve that, because some of them knew a bit about that property, shall we say?
Definitely.
Give me some intel on that. So yeah, I mean, that was another challenge of getting that, because I had a lot of Japanese knotweed, which as a broker, you'd expect it's not something I've dealt with as much, but so I learned a lot about that as well. But yeah, in terms of going forwards, the plan is to continue growing the mortgage business. At the moment, it's just myself as advisor. I've got an admin, which is great, but it's growing it, and that's why I'm using social media to grow my presence, grow my audience, which is starting to come off work now. I've got a coach, marketing coach, Ash, who's absolutely brilliant. I've been working with him for 3 months now, and he's the one who's got me really just banging out these. You just see my mug on the where it's like a 30 to 50 second reels at the minute, and it's just helping grow that into next year. And then the point will come, I'm hoping by end of next year, where I can be hiring other advisors to add on to what I can do, because there's only so many clients I can see, with eventually the goal of me stepping away from advising, or doing it partially and then fully away, to actually work on the business and be the owner, as opposed to working in it as much, and build that out really. So it's an asset that gives me an income without me having to actually advise. Whereas at the moment, it's a bit like just having a self-employed role without me being there. It's not going to be an income. So that's with that. And then one of the things, December's here for me, is I really need to sit down, quiet time, and think, how am I going to do that, and also not forget about my property business and how do I grow that. So a bit of thinking time for me with that. But yeah, I mean, it's the social media stuff. I remember a couple of years ago, just after one of the lockdowns, very nervously made a video. It was terrible. Put it out there, and made a few more. Got some positive feedback. Kept doing it, and then I thought I need someone. This is while I was still at another firm.
Yeah.
I needed a social media manager. So then I lost consistency looking for someone. Then I got someone, and then won't go into detail, but previous business partner didn't want to then work with that person, and then made some videos, and it stopped. And then anyway, it only really gained consistency properly this year. I did outsource it for a while, and then I've got my coach now who was used to be a mortgage broker himself, and he's got some real success with his previous clients, and that's really going off his advice on how to do it. It's just building and building, learning more things, and stacking and stacking. And yeah, looking forward to it. I'm starting to get some success with it for people looking, watching or listening. And you really do have to just keep showing up every day, and it's very disciplined. I think you're not going to get success with it overnight. Been doing it a few months, so I'm starting to get return on it now. But the goal is to keep doing it into next year. It'll grow even bigger.
And you've got this kind of niche within the space around mortgages for business owners, directors of companies, that kind of entrepreneurial space, because it is a niche area, isn't it? Because they don't necessarily have like the provable income that you would have in a corporate job, for example. So tell people a little bit about that, because that is kind of a niche that I see that you've emerged into.
Yeah, I think when you're on social media, you need to stand out, first of all, because otherwise you're going to get lost in all the noise of everyone else is doing, etc. So that's one of the reasons. But being a company director myself, I understand what it is like to be in that position. Yes, my business itself is only a few months old, but I've held a limited company for being a mortgage advisor and my property business for a while now, so I understand it quite well anyway. But yeah, like you say, it's mainly for company directors who are looking to buy residential property, but equally it's many investors now buy under a limited company, so it's slightly different, but I'll talk about the residential side. Like you say, someone who's in an employed position can get a mortgage. Well, actually, you can get a mortgage on the day you start a job if you've got a signed contract. In fact, you can get a job. I know some lenders 3 months in advance of starting a job. They'll give you a job at limited company directors and any sort of employed, really. You have to show your track record over usually a couple of years. And then it's things like, the average of that income over 2 years. And it can get really challenging. And I can't imagine doing it without the knowledge. I can't imagine trying to do it yourself. What a nightmare it could be. You could go to your local bank and just get told no, and then you wouldn't have a clue what else is out there. So it's just there's many different things actually that different ways of looking at it. I mean, for example, there's many business owners out there that are earning big 6-7 figure profits in their business, but logically and the accountant will be advised them, well, how much do you actually need to live off? And they might only need 50 grand. And that would be pushing them to just below the high rate tax threshold. So then you withdraw 50 grand. Now, most lenders out there will say, well, right, okay, we'll take 50 grand as your income. Let's have a look at your other, rest of your situation. They might maybe borrow 4 or 5 times that, so 250 grand. However, let's say they're making 100 grand profit in the business, but they kept 50 grand in. Suddenly, their income. There's some lenders out there that will use that income, understanding it's a choice whether you withdraw it or not. And suddenly, your income's doubled, and the amount of money you can borrow is doubled, or whatever. If it could be much higher than 100. So just using that kind of specialist knowledge it makes a lot of difference to what they can achieve. That's just one example.
Fantastic. And there's loads, and you've done loads of really high value videos, about obviously the all important things like don't miss payments and all the rest of it, and how you present yourself. So I would highly recommend people seek out the social media stuff, have a look through the videos. They're phenomenal. It's been amazing kind of watching it develop as well. So if somebody was kind of, someone, let's say, had been to a breakfast, been to a discovery day, was kind of on the fence, thinking about Inner Circle and deciding whether to do it or not, what would you say to somebody who's kind of in that position about whether to do the Inner Circle or not?
I would say, my short answer is do it, but also just to expand on that is why are you on the fence and what is it you want to achieve? For most people, it's like probably similar to myself. They're struggling perhaps with managing the time. They want to expand what they've already got. And I think the best place or best way to do that is around other people, like-minded people. You're going to get the support, the advice. One of the things I think I mentioned was the contacts and the network, which is massive in property. You're going to get accountability. I still use them now, that without giving too much away, the MITs, which people, I won't give them too much more than that. But yeah, the accountability that yourself provide and the group provide on a weekly basis. That is, I'd say, the biggest thing that will push you towards your goals. And obviously the fantastic knowledge base that you've got, Paul, as an investor, seasoned investor, both in property and well, a bit of an all-rounder now, aren't you, in the precious metals and the stock markets, etc. So
yeah, like take a broad view of things.
There's some amazing, economic updates, I'd say, that you provide, which is essential, obviously, looking at the bigger picture. But yeah, the key things I would say are, and I've seen this in my mortgage business this year, I was mentioning a coach, is having person or people around you, be in the right group, to support you and to hold you accountable, and to not do it alone. You're not going to, there's a saying, it's, if you want to, I think it's a running saying, if you want to run run fast, go alone. If you want to go far, run together, or something along those lines.
Yeah,
it's applied to life as well.
It's like an African proverb. Absolutely. If you want to go fast, go on your own. If you want to go, the distance or go a long way, go with others. And that is most definitely true. That is most definitely true. It's interesting. Like one of the guys from this year, financially free, set up for life and all the rest of it. One of the big things he shared with the group this year is how lonely it can be, like entrepreneurship and being like kind of an investor yourself. And actually, that it's great to have that supportive thing, which is effectively what you've said. Well, look, I'm obviously delighted. I'm delighted to hear those comments, and naturally, it's been a complete pleasure working with you. Now, where do we direct these good people to? So, where can they seek out your videos? How can they connect with you? And what's the best way to reach out and communicate with you?
Yeah, I would say on socials. I'm on quite a few of them now.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm even on TikTok as of a week or two ago. Videos are going on there. So if you search my name, Raj Boughan, Boughan, probably anywhere online, you should be able to find me on there and follow me. If you need obviously any specific advice, just message me and I'll be happy to help.
Very good. Well, look, I'll get those links off you and we'll put them in the show notes. All that really remains for me to say is thank you very much, Raj, for coming on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, no, thank you for having me, Paul.
Oh, fantastic. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, to discuss property investing, everything that I've discussed with Raj in this podcast. Please join us at the next Property Investor Breakfast, links in the show notes. Please do subscribe to the podcast. If you've enjoyed it, give it a 5-star review. It helps people find the podcast. And of course, connect with me on social media. All my links will be in the show notes. Keep well, speak soon, and thanks very much for listening to the podcast.